You think we're gonna beat all these games?
Nope.
Backlog boys.
No, probably not.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back to 3 easy trainers, 1 difficult trainer.
Oh my god. All right, Vaughn, so I got a story for you here. I got a story.
I want to know this
I got a
story.
story for everyone. Vaughn, you know a little bit about this story?
Just a base amount, but clue everyone in.
Yeah, please don't divulge, because the little bit that you know is like the punchline and the crux of the story. So, okay. I work at a place where I have to help people. Let's just put it that way. And
Like customer service.
yes, at this particular place, people are extremely demanding and entitled a lot of the times, and it can get a little out of hand. And the specific department of the place where I work has a feature where if somebody buys something and somehow leaves it behind or forgets it, or it doesn't get to them in one way or another, as you know, whether it's left in the parking lot or at the register or whatever, we write it down and record it. And if somebody gives us a call and says, "Hey, I never got my such and such," and we see on our list that same such and such was turned in, then we say, "Hey, you know, come on back in." And
like we found it or
and,
something?
Yeah, and we give it to them.
Like a lost and found?
Yeah, it's basically like a paid things that were bought from us, lost and found. And it's a nice feature for people who frequent our establishment. And but the thing about it is it's a paper list, right? So if somebody brings in something from the parking lot and says, "Hey, this was left behind," we write it down on a piece of paper. It's not like a digital list. It's not stored in some kind of server. So it's a piece of paper. And every store has one, but there's no way to see anyone else's because it's a piece of paper hanging up on their wall. So that's the preface for this story. Cool. So here I am at work, and a man comes up to me, and this guy is already having a bad day. He's in a bad mood. He's very short-tempered, obviously.
Irritable.
Irritable, yes. Goodbye, War Turtle. And he comes up to me, and he says, "I bought an item at such and such location that is not the location of my location." And he says, "I called them, and they told me that they had the item and that I could go to any location and get it," which is unprecedented.
Okay.
Because we don't have the ability to verify it without physically calling them and having them look at it.
Look at their paper list.
Right. It's just it's not a thing. You know, like any other store would say, "Well, you have to go back to that store." Mm-hmm. So I said, "Okay, I'll see what I can do. What was the item?" And he said it was a 3-pack of Skillets. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I knew right away what he's talking about because it's something we sell a lot of. And so I have to go over to a different
3 little...
Yeah, you know, like 3 different
cookers.
sizes of saucepans that you use for cooking. And we sell them all the time. And so I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I had to go to a different computer. So I grabbed his information and I went over to this other computer that was going to be able to help me find that information. Mm-hmm. And I start typing some stuff in, and my supervisor comes over to see what I'm doing because I've walked away from where I'm supposed to be, and she wants to know if there's any way that she can help so that I can get back over to where I need to be as soon as possible. And I tell her what's going on, and she's like, "Oh, great, this isn't something we normally do." And we're talking about, do we need to call the other store, or are we just going to tell this guy to go back to that store? Next time he's in that store, he can get it because there's not like a time sensitivity on it necessarily. Pidgey Pidge. Pidge Pidge. Let's go Tool Time. Lisa J. Cool. Back to the story. So
That's what I care about
after
right now.
probably 45 seconds max, this guy has waited long enough, and he comes from where I left him around to where we are now, and he's like, "What's taking so long? This is ridiculous. Why have you found it yet?" And I said, "Well, sir, I haven't found your receipt yet, or I haven't found the receipt that you're talking about yet. I haven't found any skillets in your transaction history. And the way that we look for stuff is you can't just like type in someone's name and see everything they've bought. You have to tell the system to either look for a specific item or a department. And because I didn't know the item number off the top of my head for the 3-pack of Skillets,
like a keyword.
I went for the department that Skillets would be in. So I searched everything he'd purchased in that department for the last like 2 years, just to make sure I could see everything. And he told me when the receipt was from. He said it was last week, and he told me about how many dollars the whole thing was, so that I would be able to find it, and I knew what store it was, so I would know the location number. So I had a lot of information to go off of, but it wasn't there. The guy had never purchased Skillets, according to his transaction history. And I was like, okay, well, here's what I'll try next. So I started looking in really common departments that people use.
Are you gonna take a seat?
To see if maybe... Yeah, dude, I'm gonna take a seat for this electrode. Dude, I have it out for
Sit
electrodes
down,
right now.
maybe.
Dude, why did I not just get to do it? Oh, it's because I was my Switch turn. Did he use Flash?
I didn't see.
I think he used Flash. Crap. I hope we don't.
Actually, he probably did.
I hope we don't miss. We're not afraid of his explosion, though, so as long as he doesn't switch, I don't care.
But go on.
So I looked in common departments, and I didn't see any visits to the store that he mentioned. I saw all other different locations.
Okay.
So at this point, I was like, okay, maybe he's confused about the item. Maybe he's also confused about
The store?
The store.
Okay.
So I said, "Sir, are you sure that it was such and such location?" And he says, "Yes, absolutely." And it's at this point that this guy waves his hand at my face and says, "Get this guy out of here. He doesn't know what he's doing. Obviously, he doesn't know what he's doing. Get this guy out of here. Why hasn't he found it yet?"
Wow.
And we're really
Get this guy out of here.
those were
Less
his
than like a minute into the
those were his
interaction.
exact words. Get this guy out of here. He doesn't know what he's doing.
How old is this guy?
This guy was probably 50, 55.
Christ.
And let's see. At this, we're super busy. So there's people all around. There's all kinds of stuff going on in this area of the workplace. And there's, lots of employees and lots of people waiting to be helped by employees. And this guy is part of the thing that's holding them up. So a lot of people are starting to eavesdrop because this guy's raising his voice.
Okay.
And they're very close
He's
by.
making a bit of a scene.
He's making a scene. Like, you hear about people making a scene. This guy was legitimately making a scene.
He's doing it.
Yeah, he was, and it did not take long to escalate. And I said, and it was like he was trying to imply that I was calling him a liar because I hadn't found what he was looking for yet. Either I was incompetent or I was calling him a liar.
Jeez.
And that was about where we had gotten to with it.
Okay.
And I said, "Sir, I'm trying to find what you've told me to look for. I just haven't found it yet, so I'm trying to ask more questions that will help me find it." And he's fed up. Like, he doesn't want to hear anything that I have to say. And my supervisor and another supervisor who has come over because of the commotion are trying to assist and get words in, and he's not letting them speak either. And then finally, I get to the last resort question, which was, "Do you know anything else that you bought on the same day?" And he says, "Yes, of course, I bought candy." Like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And I said, "Okay," so I searched for the department of candy because it has its own department. And lo and behold, there it was. I found the receipt from a couple days ago from the store he mentioned, had the right dollar amount attached to it. And I was like, "Oh, thank God, here it is." So I start paging down through this receipt, no Skillets. And I was like, "Oh my God." And I said, "Sir, I found the receipt that you're looking for, but there's no Skillets on it." And he's like, "Print it out!" And he's yelling at me.
Jesus
He's like, "I
Christ.
can't believe how stupid this person is that's on the other side of this counter." And so I was like, "Okay." So I print it out and I hand it to him and I say, "Sir, there's no Skillets on the receipt." And after looking at it for a nanosecond, he hands it back to me and says, "What's the second item?" And so I look at it, and the second item, and I read it, and I look at him, I say, "It's Skittles." And then it dawned on me
Oh no.
that this whole time, this guy had said Skillets to me, and I had been saying Skillets, 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 and he was trying to say Skittles. So I said, "Sir, those are Skittles." And he looks at me like I'm a dumbass.
Oh my God.
And I said, "Sir, we sell Skillets. and you said skillets. So I had no reason to believe that you meant anything other than that. I looked for the item that you told me to look for. And then he accused me of trying to embarrass him in front of everyone. He's like, I can't believe you're trying to embarrass me in front of all these people. And I said, I could ask the same of you, sir. Yeah. Because he was really trying to embarrass me in front of all of my coworkers.
Get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He had crossed that line way more than I had. And he also had asked me not to sir him.
Don't sir me?
Yeah. He said, don't sir me.
What?
Or don't give me that sir or whatever. And I almost snapped at that point. I was like shaking with adrenaline because this guy was making me so mad, and I can't, because I'm in the position I am, I can't like respond to him how I would respond in the real world.
Yeah.
You know, and call him out on his BS.
Yep.
I have to be like professional and obey rules.
Yeah.
And so it was at this point where like I was done talking to this guy. Mm-hmm. The situation had been resolved, but I didn't want to walk away from him just because he had told me to walk away.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way that he was talking to me.
Just because he was done with you.
Yeah, and I wanted him to know that I wasn't going to walk away from him. So I was just kind of standing around while everybody else tried to figure out what to do with this guy.
Yeah.
And at this point, a manager had also come over. So there's a manager and 2 different supervisors, as well as all the other employees and all the other people around who were trying to talk to this guy. And finally, my supervisor's like, you have to go back over to where you were because there's a lot of people waiting over there, and they need you to go back over there. And I was like, all right, you know. So I went back over there and I started to try to help people and simmer down a little bit, but it wasn't working. And the guy swore at 2 of the people that I left over there with him.
Cool.
And then, of course, he got his Skittles and then went into the store to do more shopping. And it was just ridiculous. But one of the cappers was at the point when I handed him the receipt, and then he handed back to me, and I said, those are Skittles. That moment where everyone eavesdropping on the situation realized that this guy mixed up the word between Skittles and Skillets.
Yep.
There was a guy who was waiting in line in the next line over from him, kind of right behind him, who just at that moment leaned back and said, "Taste the rainbow."
Oh,
because he obviously was fully aware of how much of an ass this guy was being.
Yeah.
But he had
to get a quip in.
Yeah, he just had to say something at that moment because it was too ridiculous. And I wanted to like hug that guy, but obviously I couldn't respond to it in the context of the situation. But he was my hero that day.
The real MVP.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, I got chewed out by a guy because he mispronounced a word.
Yeah.
Is essentially what it boiled down to. What should have been like a funny, like lighthearted interaction, like haha, Skillets, Skittles, we sell both. That's so funny. Here you go, sir. Have a great day.
How could I have possibly mixed those up? That's silly of me.
Yeah. Instead of having like a nice little conversation that we both could have enjoyed, it's just like there was clearly so much drama in this guy's life that was the tipping point. Like,
what?
It was unreal.
Like,
I've never had a worse interaction with a person that I've never met before.
What kind of life do you have to lead for like something?
It was just like
so tiny.
It was
so immaterial,
so unimportant, and just the sheer
to become the crux of your life that you have to like go on a warpath.
Yeah,
to like get these Skittles. And
and just the fact
wrong.
The fact that we were trying to help him. You know, the whole thing is like we're trying to help him.
Yeah.
You know, and he's yelling at us. And we're also trying to cover we're trying to reimburse him for a mistake that he made. You know?
Yeah.
Or likely made. Like he didn't take the item home either because he left it in the parking lot or because he never took it off the register or whatever. You know, it's possible that somebody forgot to put it in his basket or whatever, but it's like we're not trying to stop you from getting what you want.
Yeah.
We're just telling you're here as part of the process. So you're yelling at us about why it's taking so long, and we're answering you. And oh my god.
Like, there wasn't much else you could have done except for like somehow foreseen the error, which is like,
yeah, but
but since you sell skillets,
but because
in
we
3 packs,
because we sell a 3-pack of skillets, there was no reason for me to think he meant anything else.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the Skittles that we sell are not in a 3-pack.
so why do you say 3 pack?
I don't know, man. Part of me, a small part of me thinks that he was just like making it up to try to get something for free. Because I found out later on that when we called the other store,
That was a huge attack.
that was huge. Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Because it was a critical. And
Man, Starmie.
Starmie has stab for psychic too. So and then Thunder Mist. Well,
Repeat.
let's see. He's gonna use psychic, so we gotta switch in Lisa.
Like just okay. When we all get into our 50s, let's all just be self-aware. Can we all promise?
This guy just thought he like owned everybody there, and
Yeah.
that like the world owed him something. And I guess because of his like upbringing or his heritage or whatever, he thought that he was in a position to parlay in that way, because he,
Like, oh, I make $30 an hour. Let me go crap on someone who makes $20 an hour and make them my servant.
yeah, I
Or
don't
something
know.
like that.
It's just like
Some,
I don't know what the deal was.
but let's all promise to each other to like be introspective enough to never get to that point. Because holy crap,
yeah,
that's the worst kind of person.
it's
Who's
okay.
just unaware of
It's okay to be wrong about something,
their insanity.
especially the pronunciation of a word in not your first language.
Just laugh it off.
Yeah. Like, no one was making fun of this guy for saying a word wrong in a language that wasn't his first language.
It could have just been like a knee slapper.
And if he had said it, if he had happened to say a made up word that obviously wasn't something that we had, then we'd know.
Yeah.
But lo and behold,
Man.
we're about to get wrecked by this Starmie again, Vaughn.
Yeah, we've done 36 damage.
This is not good.
Wow.
Yep. And he's faster than Tool Time, so this
So it's wrap.
this is a wrap, yeah.
Unless
God, dude.
there's a Tentacruel to actually use wrap.
Which would be even worse.
That would be worse. Because it would take longer.
Oh, God.
Well,
We've got no hope here.
Yep.
I don't think even a critical Thunder would do it.
how was that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Woo! Alright.
Well, deja vu. Tomorrow on The Boys,
Yeah.
Cerulean Jim again.
Part 3.
We've had smooth sailing.
Part 3.2.
We had smooth sailing all through round 1.
2.
And up till now in round 2.
2.3.
But looks like we're
Wow, she perfected us.
we've hit a wall.
She took 30 damage.
We're getting checked.
Misty.
Whew.
Jeez.
Oh man.